Restoring Men and History. And today we're going to look at a poem by William Wordsworth. We are focused on men and how to live. This is a good poem to read to restore yourself, to focus, to look at the important things in life. So we'll read it first, maybe we'll make a comment afterwards or two. It's just a fantastic poem for men to read. Character of the Happy Warrior, William Wordsworth. Who is the happy warrior? Who is he that every man in arms should wish to be? It is the generous spirit who, when brought among the task of real life, hath wrought upon the plan that pleased his boyish thought, whose high endeavors are an inward light that makes the path before him always bright, who, with a natural instinct to discern what knowledge can perform, is diligent to learn, abides by this resolve and stops not there, but makes his moral being his prime care, who, doomed to go in company with pain and fear and bloodshed, miserable train, turns his necessity to glorious gain. In face of these doth exercise a power which as our human nature's highest dower, controls them and subdues, transmutes, bereaves of their bad influence, and their good receives. By objects which might force the soul to abate, her feeling, rendered more compassionate, is placable because occasions rise so often that demand such sacrifice. More skillful in self-knowledge, even more pure, as tempted more able to endure, as more exposed to suffering and distress, hence also more alive to tenderness. 'Tis he whose law is reason, who depends upon that law as on the best of friends. Whence in a state where men are tempted still to evil for a guard against worse ill, and what in quality or act is best, doth seldom on a right foundation rest. He labors good on good to fix, and owes to virtue every triumph that he knows, who, if he rise to station of command, rises by open means, and there will stand on honorable terms, or else retire, and in himself possess his own desire, who comprehends his trust into the same, keeps faithful with a singleness of aim, and therefore does not stoop, nor lie in wait for wealth, or honors, or for worldly state, whom they must follow, on whose head must fall, like showers of manna, if they come at all, whose power shed round him in the common strife, or mild concerns of ordinary life, a constant influence, a peculiar grace, but who, if he be called upon to face some awful moment to which heaven has joined, great issues, good or bad, for humankind, is happy as a lover and attired, with sudden brightness like a man inspired. And through the heat of conflict keeps the law, calmness made, and sees what he foresaw. Or if an unexpected call succeed, come when it will, is equal to the need. He who, though thus endued as with a sense and faculty for storm and turbulence, is yet a soul whose master bias leans to home-felt pleasures and to gentle scenes, sweet images, which wheresoever he be, are at his heart, and such fidelity. It is his darling passion to approve, more brave for this, that he hath much to love. 'Tis finally the man who lifted high, conspicuous object in a nation's eye, or left unthought of in an obscurity, who with a toward or untoward lot, prosperous or adverse, to wish or not, plays in the many games of life, that one where what he most doth value must be won. Whom neither shape or danger can dismay, nor thought of tender happiness betray, who not content that former worth stand fast, looks forward, persevering to the last. From well to better, daily self-surpassed, who whether praise of him must walk the earth forever, and to noble deeds give birth, or he must fall to sleep without his fame, and leave a dead unprofitable name, finds comfort in himself and his cause. And while the mortal mist is gathering, draws his breath in confidence of heaven's applause. This is the happy warrior. This is he that every man in arms should wish to be. Now, isn't that fantastic for men? There's a lot in there. So I'm not going to interpret it. Maybe I'll make a couple of comments. I think it stands on its own, but a few things we can take as men and gentlemen. How you are going to live your life with virtue. He's talking about the happy warrior, and he wrote it for Lord Nelson, of course, and his brother, they say. And that can apply to being and going through life in any way, in any career, in any job. If you guide yourself by a virtue and you're trying to do noble deeds, you know, when he talks about noble deeds, not for material gain. And I think this is the large takeaway. He wants heaven to applaud you, right? He's not doing it for man. He's doing it for heaven to applaud you. And noble deeds, what's he mean? So if you can do noble deeds for their own sake and for yourself, and by the way, virtue is something you can control, right? We've talked about this. So that's a great way to live your life. And you're not doing it for anybody else, but except what? Yourself, God, higher purpose, larger purpose than yourself. Whatever your endeavors are, if you live this way out of virtue. And that is true. Triumphs come out of virtue, right? That's a real triumph. Men who do things from a higher purpose, that's in here too, right? Make his moral being his prime care, that's in there. It's internal to make your moral being your care. You're caring for it. You're trying to control it. And we're all flawed. We're going to make mistakes, but we get back and reset. We can miss the mark and come back. And that's great, right? Because you have somewhat control over that, a lot of control over that. Then he says somewhere diligent to learn. So we know as men, we need to be learning, reading. Self-control, he talks about sacrifice in there. Reason. So he talks about reason being, he calls it the best of friends. That's great, right? Because we don't want to be emotional when we're making decisions or making arguments or dealing with people. We want to be thinking men and making good decisions with our minds. So that's a good point. Resist bad temptations. He labors good on good to fix and owes to virtue every triumph that he knows. That's the line. Owes to virtue every triumph that he knows. And you can control that again. So that's a fantastic thing for men. Think about that. And look at this language. If he rise to station or command, there will stand on honorable terms. So if you're going to serve in a position or you're rising to command, you want to what? Take care of your men. Think about them. Take care of the people you're serving and do it on honorable terms. Find comfort in his cause. That's a higher purpose, higher cause. So a cause higher than just himself, right? Do noble deeds, whether it is known or not. So this noble deeds, whether it's known or not, you're doing deeds for their own sake, like I said earlier. No one may know your name. It doesn't matter. No one may know you ever did it. It doesn't matter. You're just to be kind and do noble deeds. And that's for a higher purpose too, right? Draws breath and heaven's applause. So that's the line where I was talking about earlier. So maybe no one but God knows you did something good, or your friend. That's okay. You're not doing it for that. You're doing it for its own sake. And you can be the happy warrior. Not about fame, not about material wealth, just about what you're doing, virtue. This is the happy warrior. This is he that every man in arms should wish to be. So you can read over this again and again. Self-control, sacrifice, virtue, higher purpose, it's all in here. And what we read, and why do we read it? What we read and put into your mind and soul stays with it, and you can meditate on it as men. And that will keep you going and keep you on the right track if you put enough of this in your mind. What you focus on matters, men. Thank you.